Hey guys, happy Wednesday to you. And today I am here to talk all about fundraising. Well, not everything about fundraising, but a very specific topic that I'm pretty passionate about, and it is 4 fundraisers that you should avoid at all stinking costs. Like, these are not going to be good for your group. They're going to be a waste of your time. You're going to be hating life. You're going to be hating being in charge of fundraising if you sign up for one of these fundraisers. So I hope to save you some of that time, trouble, and headache by helping you learn the 4 different types of fundraisers that you should totally avoid. So if we've not met before, if this is the first time that you're tuning in, I am Christina Heideck. I am the founder of PTO Answers, and I myself, I'm a very long time PTA volunteer. I'm currently PTA president in one school and fundraising chair at a different school. This is actually the second time I've been fundraising chair, not for this particular PTA. I did it many moons ago at the lower elementary school, but I am very experienced in this area, so I am excited to talk about this today. So first off, if you could do me a favor and go ahead, if you are not the fundraising chair yourself, but you're attending, would you go ahead and tag your fundraising chair in this video so that they can watch it later? Because I think it's just going to be so valuable and so just informative that it would really be a shame if she missed it. So do her a favor, along with me a favor, and tag her. So thanks so much. All right, so, and there is a new feature, and that's why I was a little late getting on. We can do fun polls now during live streams. Whoop, whoop. So let me see. I don't know exactly how it looks like on your end, but I set up 3 questions. So, and if you would go ahead and answer them whenever you like, or if you don't, then whatever. I just thought I was like, whole feature, this is kind of fun. So it would actually help me figure out more how to frame everything if I had this information, I would tell you. So if you, the 3 questions are you a fundraising chair for your PTA or PTO? Yes or no. Are you a new fundraising chair? Yes or no. And do you feel like you know what the heck you're doing as fundraising chair? And there are 3 options for that. Yep, totally got it covered, maybe. And the last choice is no, that is why I'm here, woman. So if you could answer those, that'd be kind of fun. I don't know, we'll see. Oh, I see I have to publish them. Oh, cool. So I'm just doing the first. Are you a fundraising chair? So go ahead and answer that one. And then a little bit, I see how, we could have really great fun with this, don't you think? We could get to know exactly what you need to know, all right? I'm just going to go ahead and publish all of them. Oh, I see. Oh no, I screwed up on that one. I guess when I publish the next one. Oh, boo. Sorry. Closed. I think we can only have 1 question open. Okay, so new fundraising chair. Sorry, learning here right along with you. Facebook is always rolling out all these new features, and I thought, why not take advantage of them? So it'd be kind of fun. All right. So I'll talk for maybe a little bit, and then we'll go to the last question. Now I see how this works. I'm gonna have to plan accordingly. We'll have some fun with this. Okay, so like I said, super excited to talk about this. And one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this now is because this is what I am doing in my own groups as we speak. So for the PTA that I am president of, we're doing something a little different. We're doing one of those no hassle flyer fundraisers, but I completely delegated that task to some people who were interested in doing it. And so they're just, I looked at their rough draft today and gave them a little bit of feedback. So I'm kind of curious how to see how that goes. It's the first time we've ever not sold stuff at that school. And then at the other school, we are doing a traditional catalog fundraiser, and I am in charge of it. And I'm interested to see how that one's going to go too, because they just haven't done a traditional catalog fundraiser at that school for many years. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, if nothing else, then we'll go back to what we normally do, which is just have concession sales at sporting events. So it's really like anything we earn is like a bonus. But anyway, That's just what I'm doing, but I'm kind of in that fundraising mode. And I thought, I bet other people are right here with me because it's the beginning of October. It's, it doesn't feel like we're still just back to school, but we are just back to school. So at the beginning of the school year. So if you have not yet, I guess this works even if you have signed up for a fundraiser or if you haven't. But there are really some kind of loser characteristics of certain fundraisers that I've identified. And I'm not going to be calling out any companies here because that's just rude, because it could not, maybe the fundraiser has not been good for me or my groups, but maybe it would work fabulous for a different type of group in a different part of the country that has a different different makeup of their school. Maybe the school is more well off, or maybe it's not as well off, and so I'm not going to make any judgments and call any companies because that's just rude. But I'm going to tell you 4 different things that you should really be looking at and evaluating to make sure that you are choosing a fundraiser that's going to be profitable for you. So, all right, looks like we have a lot of non-fundraising chairs here. Sweet, thanks for tuning in. All right, let's do the last one, which this can apply to your role as fundraising chair or whatever role you're in, because I just kind of like to do. Okay, so the question is, do you feel like you know what the heck you're doing? So, because sometimes you just have no clue, right? I shouldn't say that. That makes it sound like I'm dinging on you. Sometimes you have a lot to learn, or you feel like you have a lot to learn. So just be honest. We're not going to do anything. It's just like a fun little poll, whatever. All right, so let's get into it, because I know you are waiting. And then I'm going to answer all questions at the end. So Kim, I see your question about penny worths, and I will loop back around to that. So fear not. All right, so the first fundraiser that you should totally be like walking away from, and not necessarily slowly, is fundraisers that have very little profit margin for you. Because that means you're going to be expending perhaps the same amount of energy as you would with a fundraiser that has a higher profit margin than you would be one that has like a lower one. But you're doing the same amount of effort, so you're putting in the same amount of time, but in the end you're making more, or you're making less for your group. And that's one that I just don't. I'm pretty big into like managing my time well, and I see that a lot of PTOs make the mistake of not being cognizant of this, and not being aware that, yeah, you raised $100 at that restaurant night, but you had to promote it for 2 weeks straight, and send home flyers and pass out, maybe be like wear a sandwich board in the car line at pickup. Like, you had to do all this stuff for $100. Like, to me, that's not a good payout for all of that effort. So just as a generalization, you're really going to have to check with the different fundraising companies. And this is why, I guess I should back it up, and I should say you should always be interviewing companies. Don't just like go with the one that you've always done unless it's been like super, super successful. And you want to look at the last couple years of the fundraising takes, like what were the expenses versus the profits. And you want to look at that number over a number of years so that you really get a great idea of how successful it is for you. For example, one year, I don't even know why, but the fundraising chair decided to do like an extra little bonus fundraiser in the spring. It was a brand new company to our PTA, and really nobody had ever heard of them in the area. So it was like new and it was fresh. And they offered really bright and cute printed bags and other kind of containers for your home or car or kids. They had like lunch bags and trash bags and beach totes and whatever. And it was a spring fundraiser, so it was totally supplemental. I don't even know what their expectations were, but we ended up making like $6,000 from that extra fundraiser, which was like, oh my gosh, sweet. So then fast forward to the next year, I was actually fundraising chair, and I was like, we made $6,000 from these stinking bags. Like, everybody loves them. We need to do it again. So we did it again. And this time I think we made about $4,000. So still good, but it was the same amount of effort for 30% less money, right? Well, then the next year, I think they decided to repeat it again. And I think they only made like 2,000. So it was really down 2/3 from the previous 2 years. So that's when I say you need that historical data and you need to be tracking that information. So if you are a fundraising chair and you're trying to figure this out, you need to like call up your treasurer and be like, hey, can I get the numbers from the last 5 years? Like which fundraisers did they do, and try and figure out the profit margin, and then see if it really is going to be successful for you or not. Just if you keep having the diminishing returns, then it might be time to switch to something else. Okay, so generally the food-based fundraisers have a little bit higher profit margin, usually between 40 and 50%. And then product-based are like 50% and lower, but they could be as low as, well, I've seen them as low as 25%. Like, I guess I just didn't even pay attention to the ones that were like 10%, because that's not really worth my time, in my opinion. The companies really need to give back or have a better product that people are willing to pay more for, in my humble opinion. All right, so take a look at that though. Take a look at that. Be asking that question when you sit down with that fundraising company, like ask. All right, the second thing that you need to avoid are those just like junk products. Like things that, like, especially catalogs where they're trying to offer everything under the sun. If they are offering things that there's no way in heck that you would ever consider buying yourself, then how are families in your school going to respond? They're probably going to be just like you. So if it's crap, then it's crap, and avoid it. Like, there's no putting a little, like, saying, oh, it's for the school. Like, people still won't do that. So yeah, avoid the junk products. So like, look at it. Does it look nice? Like, a lot of fundraising companies have really upped their game. I told you that I was doing the catalog fundraiser for the second. It's actually the same company that we used that sold the printed bags that were so cute. Well, since that time, they've been bought by a different company, and they've kind of elevated everything, which is interesting because I believe that before they had elevated all their products, they would have sold really well at my current school. So we'll see how it goes. But it's just like, I didn't know that it had been elevated such, and everything looks a little very fancy and very expensive. And I'm like, oh, all those $15 bags would have sold like hotcakes at this school. But now that they're like $50 or $30, I'm not too sure. But again, we'll see. And I'll be sure to report back to you about how that went. Okay, so avoid the junk because nobody's going to buy it. And it really gives school fundraising like a really bad rap. If it's just like cheap junk from China. Sorry, I'm just going to say it. Just avoid it. All right, the third type of fundraiser that you should totally avoid is fundraisers that require too many hands to be successful in pulling off. So I know I've told this story before, but maybe you've missed it. And if you've heard it before, you'll just have to bear with me. But one year at the lower elementary school, we did one of those cute shaped pasta fundraisers, and it was great. They sold really well, but then when it came time for delivery, every shape of pasta was boxed individually. So they were not delivering all of our orders. So if somebody had ordered Christmas trees, football helmets, and ballerina mix, then we had to legit go and sort all of those. And it was a nightmare for our group because we had very limited space. I mean, very limited. We were like stepping over boxes, like 3 and 4 boxes at a time in this room. And it was like a really bad video game. That wasn't fun at all. And I laugh about it now because it was so disastrous. And that was like 2 years later than I took over fundraising. And I was like, we are not doing that pasta. I don't care how well it sells. It was too much of a headache, and it was too difficult because we didn't have ample space to sort the orders. So look at the space that you have available to you at your school in order to make the fundraiser happen. So when I was in charge of fundraising, there was another company that offered bakery good or baked good. And that was my first question because they had like 8 different varieties. And I was like, how do they come delivered? Like, do they come pre-sorted, or they come just kind of in bulk, and you have to, and the group would have to sort everything? And the representative was very honest, and he's like, no, you guys would have to sort them. And I was like, okay, this just isn't going to work for us, because at that time we had fewer volunteers, and I just didn't want to be stuck sorting all of that by myself. It was just going to be too much work. The role of the fundraising chair should not be the role of one. Like, just because you're heading it up doesn't mean that you have to do everything, but a lot of times that happens. So you need to be really aware of the fundraisers that are going to take a lot of time and effort to pull off. Okay, so now the last type of fundraiser that you should totally be running screaming from is that things that just haven't worked in the past. Like, honey, there is no trying to beat a dead horse with, maybe there was like frozen pizza sales. I don't know. That's one that comes to mind that is not very enticing for me. So maybe I'll rag on that for a little bit. But think about a fundraiser. It could be a product-based fundraiser, or maybe you've tried the hassle-free donation fundraiser and it just didn't work for you guys. Like, that's totally possible. What works for one group doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for your group. There are so many variables, and a lot of times the variables are out of your control. So really, that goes back to the need to be tracking the data year over year and being able to access the data, so you can have that longer term look at what has worked and what hasn't worked, so you can take that information and use it when making your decisions. So those are the 4 different fundraisers you should avoid. And I'll just recap. It's fundraisers with little profit, fundraisers that take too many hands to pull off, too much work, junkety junk products, and things that haven't worked in the past. Those are ones that you should really just avoid. All right, so now I'm going to go into the questions. So Kim asks, do you do penny wars? You know what? We've never tried that. So I have no feedback. I know that there are a ton of people, I shouldn't say a ton, there are many people inside the PTA PTO Superstar Leader Group who have successfully done penny wars. I know that some of the issues with that are like having to count them and having to roll the change, and just that's one that takes a lot of manpower. I would think that if you are not interested in counting everything, if you have a Coinstar machine anywhere near you, you could like just suck up the 10% loss or whatever they take and just go have the machine count it for you. Maybe that's an option, because penny wars are 100% profit. So if you're losing only 10%, that's still a better profit margin than the vast majority of fundraising companies are going to give you. So maybe that's an idea for you there. Jennifer said, yeah, the basket raffle was like that for us. A huge effort for just $1,600. Yeah, Jennifer, I don't know if you've heard me talk about my carnival experience. That was a fundraiser and a fundraiser for my group. And they were putting in like 2.5 months of work for $500. No. So I put a quick end to that, because I thought, I would rather just write the PTA a check for $500 than to put in all of this work. So a couple quick tweaks, and I got that up to a $2,500 profit margin, and just with a couple small tweaks, it was kind of crazy. So I was really happy about that. And it's still not a huge amount of money, but a 5x return or increase is not too shabby. So yeah, I hear you on that. So let me see if there's. Oh, penny, I see. Yes, all right. So Kim was naming, yeah, some of the ones that require donations and stuff like that. I think when I was talking with our fundraiser chairs earlier this year, they're like, what about the place that collects shoes? And then we looked at the details, and it was like 100,000 pairs of shoes for $10. And we're like, well, that's not a good one, because where are we going to store all these stinking shoes? Some of them aren't very practical for PTAs, I got to say. So, oh, and Stephanie had a suggestion. She said, our school does a coin war where the grade level with the most money wins rather than a penny war. So, all right. And then thank you for that tip, Stephanie. And then Kim asked, what were my tweaks? My tweak to get from $500 to $2,500 was pretty simple, actually. The main way that we made money from Carnival was from a silent auction we did. And actually, it wasn't a silent auction. They did it like a Chinese raffle or a turkey tray where you would buy tickets and you could dump them in the baskets that you wanted. Well, people were getting a pool pass that was worth $100 or $150, like it was a family pool pass that we had donated from the city. They were getting it for $1. And I thought, I bet people will pay more than $1 for a family pool pass that they're going to buy anyway. And there's no other discounts. So we just switched everything from the raffle to the silent auction, and really that's kind of what did it. And the other thing was I looked at our expenses. The prizes that we were giving away were more expensive than the ticket costs that we set. So that's a really good way. You just have to know all the numbers. And I'm not even a numbers person. I am like the worst at numbers. Like my son is having a little bit of trouble with math this year. And he's like, well, you can't help me. You're not the math person. That's daddy. And I said, that's true, but I know the basic math. I know the math to get me through life. I know how to calculate discount on a sale price at a store. And I know how to figure out the dimensions of a room to see if a sofa is going to fit in. Like, I know the basic math. So the same thing with like PTA math. I can totally do PTA math unless it's adding up a stack of checks. That's what gets me. That's not my forte. So I've been fired from that job, but that's okay. I have plenty of other things that I do well. So, all right. Anna asked, can I do a live about Carnival? Yes, I will write that down because my Carnival days are actually over for my school because my kids are now 10 and 13. And I'm just looking for a blank sheet of paper. I'm going to write this down, Anna, for you. All right, I wrote that down. I don't know when I'll do that because I want to stay in this fundraising topic for a little bit. But yeah, maybe I'll do a bonus one on that because that could be. I like carnivals because they're like a twofer. They can be a ton of work, but it's only if you let them be a ton of work and only if you don't break it up and delegate it. But we'll go into that later. All right. So, all right. Okay, then we had a couple more suggestions about other things that weren't so hot. So see, that's good that you guys are discerning like this. So awesome. Okay, does anybody have last minute questions? I'm just going to give you I know there's a little bit of a lag, so if you have a question, just go ahead and pop it in. And in the meantime, I'm going to tell you what's coming up next week. And that is how to avoid a failed fundraiser. How to avoid messing it all up. Because let me tell you, there is nothing more disheartening than putting all of your time and energy and thought into a fundraiser and having it fall flat. Because then you're left scrambling because you got to still make up the same amount of money somehow, right? So yeah, you don't want to have a failure. And there's just a couple simple tricks that you can use to make it successful for your group and to avoid that. So I'm going to share all of those next Wednesday. And it looks like there are no more questions. Oh, Kim, you rock. Thank you. You're very sweet. I'm glad you guys all popped on. So it looks like this was a really hot topic. So so glad for that. So let me close right now. And Kim, I'm going to talk to you about fundraisers versus grant writing. That's a whole nother one. Let me write that one down too. That is a topic for another day. So grants, was it all right, so if you still have other questions about this, you can tag me in the PTA PTO Superstars group. Not many people take advantage of that. Now, I can't sit in there all day and answer everybody's questions, but if it's something I haven't seen in a long time, or that I feel like I'm really passionate about, I definitely will chime in. And don't be afraid to tag me. Don't be afraid to tag me. I'm totally open to that. So, all right, y'all. This was so much fun, and I hope you got a lot out of it. And I look forward to talking to you again next week. So take care until then. Bye-bye.